Hello and welcome to the Sirrano Show. Today we've got an exciting show for you as always, and we will be covering our newspaper, the New Jersey Pulse newspaper that is affiliated with the Sirrano Show today. Our first topic involves Governor Chris Christie. Now, Governor Chris Christie came into Patterson. That's okay. But what Governor Christie did not know is the location that he was going would have been a problem. Now, when we heard of the governor's visit, we warned the governor, do not go to this particular church. We warned him. He did not respond, so we actually wrote it in the New Jersey Pulse newspaper. Not only did we have a problem with the church and the location and the people there, we told the governor, and I know, Governor, you want to be tough and you want to go into the lion's den and you want to walk through the snake pit and you're tough enough to handle it. But you weren't tough enough to handle this one. And we tried to warn you, do not come to Patterson at this particular church, and he would not listen. So before the governor came, about a week before he came, we gave him ample time. And on the front cover of the New Jersey Pulse, it says, the New Jersey Pulse will boycott the governor's visit to Patterson. Right up here. Okay? It was supposed to send a clear message to the governor. It's not a good idea for you to come to Patterson. Now, we're not boycotting the governor himself in any way. We're just boycotting his visit and where he was visiting. This was a concern to us because the church that the governor was visiting was recently visited by Jeremiah Wright. And this is a church that loves Jeremiah Wright. So that should have sent little message to your head, Governor. Why are you going to the same church that supports Jeremiah Wright in the city of Patterson? So in our boycott to the governor, which was basically a message, it says the only newspaper that endorsed Governor Christie is boycotting his visit to Patterson. And during the governor's run for election, our newspaper was the only one that endorsed the governor. And if the only newspaper, Governor, is telling you, do not come to Patterson in that location, then listen. We endorsed you for a reason. We know what you can do. We know how smart you are. We know you're an ex-prosecutor and you can change crime in Patterson. We know all of that. But when you don't know where you're landing and you've got a man in the ground that's telling you, do not land there, and you decided, I'm going to land there anyway because I'm tough enough to handle it, it's on you. Patterson, the city of Patterson is an entirely different plane. You just can't come in here or there and say, well, I'm going to do what I want. And that's what you try to do, Governor. You try to do what you want, and you lost. Now, the very Reverend Clayton is the very person who is head of the NAACP, mind you. Okay? Reverend Kenneth Clayton, is the preacher in this particular church that Christie went to, and he's head of the NAACP president. And we try to warn the governor. This is a very bad person. He appears to be one thing, but he's not. So we try to tell the governor in our very article that what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to use his visit for themselves. And we also said the governor could have gone neutral or through his political base, invited the entire community. That would have been a smarter move, just as Corzine did during his trips to the city. But this catering to others while your own party's county organization is struggling is not something that should be unnoticed. The governor was also sent several complaints about the elected officials in Patterson, yet he did nothing. He never responded. So we went on to say you know, he was going to be set up, basically. We told him you were going to be set up and they were going to use your visit as an advantage. And you did not listen. There was a person by the name of Michael something Dewich or something. He sends us this emails all the time. We have received 5 different invitations that the governor was coming down here. 4 from his staff and 1 from a private, the local. And in all of those communications, we sent the governor a copy to the link of njpulseonline.com or NewJerseyPulseOnline.com. We are boycotting your visit to Patterson. It is a bad move to go to that location. Do not go. The governor didn't listen. So, he went. And like I said, all the Democrats that are running for elected office are in the front pew. And behind him, all Democrats on the stage. And this is something John Curry, which is the local Democratic chairman here, would have never allowed to happen to his quasi candidate back then. And after the Democrat put their people in position that they would be noticed more than any Republican, there was no Republican candidates. There's 3 selected so far, and none were there. I didn't see them in the front. Neither did I see any assembly, neither did I see any senators. I saw nothing from the Republican Party that represent who the governor is, and here he is playing to the Democrats. And I understand what the governor was trying to do. Now, here's the front cover of the Record. They're laying hands on the governor. Now, many different preachers will tell you what. This is the president of Patterson Pastors Workshop, Mike McDuffie. This is Reverend Clayton on this side here. The president of the Patterson Pastors Workshop was a local group here, very kind of dwindling these days, is housed inside and under Reverend Clayton. So here's a guy, McDuffie, who's laying his hands on Christie. Now, it is said that you have to be careful who lays their hands on you, because you're submitting yourself to everything that that person is and that preacher is that lays his hand on you. So you can't just have anybody put their hands on you and pray over you. Once you do, when you submit to that, you're submitting to everything that that person thinks, believes, prays, and puts forward. Okay? So, and then you have another guy from the local Herald News here, and he's yelling at the governor. So, I don't know. You got people yelling at you, you've got people insulting you, you've got people embarrassing you, and all because you did not want to listen, Governor. Do not come to that church in Patterson. It's a black church. They push a Democratic cause. You know, we've had a butt heads with this particular church that stepped out of line and misused the NAACP, misused the pulpit to attack even us and other people. And we know this particular pastor. Now, there are very good pastors in the city of Patterson. 360 churches. Why did the governor choose this particular church? Our suspicion is because Reverend Clayton is head of the NAACP. So the governor's looking for black votes, right? And he's head of this church. So it would seem like, you know, if you want to get the black votes, this would be the place to be. Go into the nest and find the nest, and you can convince the leader of the nest. Well, Governor, you didn't. Here's what the leader of the nest said about you. I am saddened, and this is, we're quoting the New Jersey, NorthJersey.com. We are saddened by the governor's blatant attack on the speaker, said Kenneth Clayton, pastor of St. Luke's Church in Patterson, the same one we warned the governor not to go to. The words that the governor chose to use in speaking of Oliver, while not even respecting her enough to call her by name, defies his earlier assertion that political leaders, himself included, need to learn to respect all views and work together. Okay, now, I'm kind of confused here, because here is Clayton also saying the words of the governor used to to use in speaking of Oliver. He didn't say Miss Oliver. He didn't say Assembly Speaker Oliver. He just feels the need to disrespect her himself, Mr. Clayton, and call her Oliver. You're not friends, and I know that. So you're accusing Christie of an attack. A Democratic speaker, Sheila Oliver, later said she was appalled that Christie interjected race into the discussion on education. Apparently what Christie said was that an African-American female speaker of the assembly is blocking a vote on a school voucher bill that would let children in failing districts attend classes elsewhere. So, you have the reverend of a church attacking Christie, that because he said an African-American female speaker, he's a racist, basically. And here he is himself addressing Miss Oliver, see, Miss Oliver, and is just saying Oliver. So, Mr. Clayton, if you're asking people to respect the Assembly's speaker, you yourself have to respect her and not call her Oliver in the public as well. Okay? A spokesperson for the governor commented, said his comments were misinterpreted. Misinterpreted. Yes, Christie, it was misinterpreted because that was the intent in the first place. To get you to say something that they would misinterpret to benefit their party in Passaic County. And had you read the article in the New Jersey Pulse Online, if you can't get a copy, New Jersey Pulse Online, you would have seen that for yourself, Governor. You would have seen you were being warned. It's almost like 9/11 was about to happen. And we went to the Pentagon and we said, please guard the city of New York, because they're going to attack that city. And the Pentagon decided, well, we're not going to do anything. Same thing with you, Governor. You were warned not to come to that location in Patterson. It was said in the article, Jeremiah Wright was there. He is the one who blames America for 9/11. It's funny I would say that and then bring this up. And you wouldn't listen. You would not listen. Patterson is a dangerous place for a Republican if you don't have a message of unity and, recognizing and having some kind of common interest with the folks here. You have to be recognized among the people. You have to show you have a common goal. You have to show that you care. I believe, I even heard this, that the governor gave an extra $2 million to the city of Patterson. Well, guess what, Governor? If you had broadcast that, it would say, Patterson is not for sale. Okay? So the next time you want to visit Patterson, Governor, or you want to go to any city, make sure you got a guy on the ground, and if he tells you don't go there, guess what? Don't go there. Because you got jacked. You got hijacked. Okay? So, I know you want to be tough. I know you were a prosecutor. I know you think you can handle your own, but this is a different beast. Not many Republicans can tame this beast. There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it, but what you did was not the right way. Now, to be fair, I'm also president of the Christian Heritage U.S., and we had a meeting tonight. And in our meeting, we had a lot of people that expressed that they were there, despite what Clayton said, the boss of this church, the mighty sons of men, Clayton, who decided that he was not going to love the governor. Now, we have an article also, and we're going to get to that, in the New Jersey Post, about Clayton not loving people. So, how about you, Clayton? How dare you use God and the pulpit and a church to attack somebody, and I'm forgetting this as a governor for a while, to attack somebody for saying something in the flesh. How dare you, Clayton? How dare you, a man of God in the pulpit that is supposed to preach love and forgiveness and mercy and kindness and long-suffering. How dare you come away from those teachings to attack a man and talking about the flesh? Because the last time, and I'm not an avid reader, professional in the Bible, to say the least, But I know it talks about they that are placed to the flesh, placed to death, and they that placed to the spirit, placed to life. So what spirit did you play to here, Clayton, to attack the governor and just use something that is so stupid? It's so stupid that because he mentioned her as an African-American female Speaker of the Assembly. That's all he had to say. And they would have used, and he could have said something else. He could have said anything. But Reverend Clayton was ready, the Democratic Party there was ready to get him in there, and they were ready to attack him and promote themselves and their candidate. We knew that ahead of time. I'm not a prophet, nor a psychic. Well, psychic is not part of Christian belief, but I'm not a prophet. But I could have seen this coming. I saw this coming. Governor, I can't believe you didn't see this coming. So, if it wasn't this that he said, it would have been something else that he said. And I think the governor even called somebody a boy. So I'm surprised they didn't use that. So they are looking for something. And it's just, to me, I don't know how people felt about this preacher who's now cursing the governor. And he has his first Patterson, Pastor's Workshop leader laying that same hands on him. So here you are blessing the guy, praying for sin, and on the other side of your mouth, you're cursing him publicly. And I'm listening to this on 1010 Wins and all these other radio stations driving home tonight, and I was really upset because you're a man of God, Clayton. You're a man of God. And I think you ought to go back on your very website and say the sinner's prayer and stop this nonsense with playing the black card when you serve a God that says we're born of a spirit, and they that address me must address me in the spirit. I don't think, although Christie was in a church, I don't think he said anything against the spirit, nor Jesus, nor the church, or anything. So I think this attack is unwarranted, and I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's a sin in itself, and the only person that needs to repent here is Satan. Clayton. Wow. Wow. Satan, Clayton. Wow. Where did that come from, right? Hey, don't look at me. I'm just a messenger. So, maybe Satan is in Clayton. Yeah. Okay. Satan in Clayton. And this is what's coming out of him. I don't know. But I do know the scriptures, and I know this public attack after you come and you pray for somebody, you send them out the door, and then you curse them publicly. This is the problem. In the church in Patterson, 350 churches, the governor chose that one. I know his reason. I don't care what you say, Governor, I know your reason. You're trying to go into the lion's den, and you got bit. So, Governor, stop it. You're not tough enough for this city. The city will chew you up and spit you out. You tried it with me, but I'm still standing here. There are a lot of wicked people in this city that are in elected office. Some you should have prosecuted and you didn't. You got letters, you got complaints, you did nothing. So now you got to deal with that. You got pastors that are abusing the authority with those same elected officials. Had you arrested them for the crimes that they committed, even against this paper, maybe you wouldn't have had that problem deep here. And the next time again, Governor, you're visiting a city, don't let people put their hands on you unless you know who they are and you have a man on the ground to point them out for you. Okay? Learn to listen to people that wants to talk to you. Good. Now, we're going to go on to some other stories that we have in the New Jersey Post newspaper. Our top story this week, 2 pastors, adultery, and a knife. And what you have here is you have a gentleman that beat up on his first wife, took his second wife hostage with a gun. He's a preacher, mind you, a preacher. And went to jail for some of those crimes, came back out, came back into a church. And while he was in this church, he married. And while he was married, he was having sex with this other pastor. Her name is Oliver. And they both were committing adultery in the church while they were preaching on a Sunday. And she decided she was going to leave him for another man. And he decided, well, he's not going to have none of that. So he took a knife and dressed himself up in disguise and went to a hairdressing facility or house she was at, and he took out the hunting knife and he stabbed her 26 times all over. She was left for dead, bleeding, and he's found guilty. and the sentencing is on March 22nd. So, 2 pastors having sex in the church for years. Years and years and years. And now this evil came out. And I know the story is more about protecting the woman, but you know what? She was a preacher too, having sex with this guy. And so I know he stabbed you, but that does not dismiss you've also got sins here. And she's going to go back in the pulpit without repentance. She's remarried now. The story there. And we've got Pastor Reverend Clayton under fire in the very New Jersey Pulse. And you can go to NewJerseyPulseOnline.com and read these stories. And we got a councilman that's in trouble for using his lawyer and paying him off. We've got the Christie's visit, and we've got a guy who's had sex with 5 of his daughters and 4 impregnated. He's going to jail. He was found guilty. And we've got some other really good stories in the New Jersey Pulse newspaper. And we welcome you to go online, NewJerseyPulseOnline.com, and you can read those stories. And being told that's all the time that we have for today. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.